Alright guys, welcome back, Aussie Dad Life. Got a new shootout, so to speak, snapper fishing. I'm new to it. You can buy hooks for 5 or 10 cents each from eBay. You can pay up to over $1 for them at the Gamakatsu end of the range. Now, wanted to test 5.0s because they seem to be the standard across a couple of different things. So sharpness tests and hook strength basically as the two main selectors. So what I did was went out, got a whole bunch of them, different brands, Jarvis Walker, Owner, Gamakatsu, Black Magics, the Reedies, the Mustard Penetrator, the BKK, and the Mustard Big Reds. They're all 5.0s except for the Penetrator, they didn't have any, so I got a 6.0, and the Reedies are 4.0s because they didn't have any 5.0s. So should be all relatively similar, but just be mindful, you'll see that in the charts and whatnot as we're going through. Now, like I mentioned, I'm relatively new to snapper fishing, and I just wanted to see what really is the best hook that's out there, and is it worth paying $1 a hook versus 10 cents? Up to you. Have you make up your own mind. I'm only just showing you the results, but yeah. So let's get into it. Alright guys, a couple of things to unpack here with the hooks. So all 5.0s as I mentioned, except for the Reedies, I could only get them in a 4.0, and the Mustard Penetrators, I could only get them in a 6.0 size. So just be mindful of that when you're looking through the scores. Now, first thing is price per hook. Are you getting value for money? eBay hooks, clearly the cheapest. For 100, you're getting them around 10 cents per hook. The Jarvis Walker, sold at Big W and so on, 20 cents a hook for a pack of 25. Reedy's Rigs, really good value at 88 cents. BKK, 92 cents. And then the Black Magics, the Mustard Penetrators, and the Big Reds, all around $1. Gamakatsu, probably the top of the range from a hook perspective at $1.12. And the Owners, I could only find a 4-pack of those. They didn't have 25 or, larger ones, so they actually were the most expensive at $1.25. Now, let's look at how thick they are. Now, from a gauge perspective, the Penetrators, the thinnest, even though they were a 6.0, at only 1.38 millimeters. Work your way down through, seems to be a bit of a sweet spot between, 1.54 and 1.68 for the Owners, the eBays, the Walkers, and the Reedies. Then the Gamakatsus, Black Magic, and BKK. 1.72, 1.8, and 1.88, and then the biggest with the Mustard Big Red, 1.94. Then the barb width, so let's stop the fish from falling off. The Penetrator with the thinnest at 2.14, 2.2 for the Owners. They were quite a thin gauge hook, as you can see there. eBay, Reedies, and Black Magic all 2.52. BKK 2.7, 2.78 was the Gamakatsu, and then the Big Red and the Jarvis Walker at 3.2 and 3.34. The BKK and the Gamakatsu are very, very close in shape, size, dimensions. When you look at them, the BKK is just a little bit thicker looking. So now let's get into the tests. All right, so before we start the hook test, just want to explain how I actually did it. So you'll see on the scale and in the videos coming up, ran some braid up to the scale, and then had a washer that I drilled about a 1 mil hole in, and that pushed in and sat over the top of the barb and pushed up basically against it, couldn't go over the barb. And from there I had a bucket filled with water and just kept filling it up until it either snapped or bent completely down and fell off. So I think that's a pretty accurate test. Had a look around, there was a couple of other websites and videos that people have done similar, and I was able to replicate it really easily, and I didn't really have any anomalies. Everything, I did two tests per hook, and if it had any sort of failures or anything a little bit different, I did it again. In the end, I think I only had one odd one that popped out. All the others went perfectly fine. So, all right, let's jump into the test and let's see what you can think. Yeah. All right, so that's the end of the hook strength test. Now, some very, very interesting results. The penetrator, it is the skinniest, only 6.78. I was really shocked at that. I thought it would last a lot longer, but tell you what, if you're buying them, even though it's got the big snapper on the thing, you might want to be catching some big fish because it bends like a noodle. eBay hooks 8.67, owners 10.5, Jarvis Walkers. Now, I used them pretty much all of last year, this year, and it was quite surprising. So if you do get a big fish over 10 kilos, um, something to be mindful of depending on where you're fishing, I suppose. And then the next lot were all 14 to 16 kilos. So, Reedies came out on top with a 16.45 average, BKK 16.43, and then the mustard and the Gamakatsu's in the 15 mark. So, I'm actually pretty shocked at the Reedies with only the 4.0. So, one of the more skinnier hooks, you could say. So, you look at the Jarvis Walkers, 10.6 kilo difference there. Um, you know, pretty much on par with the Gamakatsu, only 0.4 of a millimeter difference. So super effort on that regards. I'm not sure how big the 5.0s are, but I think any of these top four well suited for the job of snapper fishing. Guys, next was the sharpness test. Now, this was just purely me running it against my fingernail and against the plastic tabletop here that's dead smooth to see which ones hooked in the most and, left marks and so on. It was pretty easy to tell the differences. I did a lot of back and forth. eBay hooks were the worst. Then it was the Jarvis Walkers. Mustard Big Red came third last in 7th position. In 6th was the Black Magics. In 5th was the Owners. Then in equal third, BKK and the Reedies Rigs was really hard to tell the difference. And then in second position was the Gamakatsu. And in the first position was the Mustard Penetrator, which I put down purely to being the thinnest hook that was there in our test. If you exclude that, the Gamakatsu comes out on top, but you literally throw a blanket over the Gamakatsu, the BKK, and the Reedies Rigs. They're all very, very hard to choose, but the Gamakatsu had the slight edge. All right, now then I attempted to see what the weightage would be for bending hooks with it over the barb, so pretty much right in the bend. The first two lots of hooks I tested, the Owner and the Jarvis Walkers, I topped out the bucket at 34 kilos, and I stopped the test there and assumed that that's it, all over Red Rover. The others would be even way worse. So I think the tip strength part probably the most accurate representation. Alright guys, so that's a wrap with the snapper hook shootout. Hope you found it really informative. My top three, and they're splitting hairs. Gamakatsu, the BKK, and the Reedies Rigs. All three are, throw a blanket over them, and they are that close to each other. From a sharpness perspective, from a weight perspective, they're all 15 kilo plus before they snap. They're all super sharp. I guess the couple of benefits, the Reedies, you can buy them with the Lumo paint on them or without. And the Lumo, and they were only the 4.0s that were on the Reedies rig. So, yeah, from me personally, I'm going to be supporting the local business and going with Reedies rigs. Once again, I've got no affiliation. I purchased them with my own money, and I just think if a local guy is going to be taking the time to put his name on them, well, I'm going to give them a go and see what they go like this snapper season coming up. So. The others, the Mustard Penetrator, I was really surprised with how weak it was. Yes, it looks really thin, but just over 6.5, 6.75 kilos from a failure point of view, I'm really, really surprised at. Obviously, if you're on a budget, there are hooks available there, but really $1 a hook versus 20 cents a hook when you're going to spend 50, 75, $100 on fuel every time, and food and drink and bait every time you go out. Seems a bit of a no-brainer. Use the good quality gear, as they say, and hopefully the results speak for themselves. But yeah, so thanks again for watching Aussie Dad Life. Leave me a comment. If there's any other hooks or brands that you want me to test, I'm more than happy to give them a go. And I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.